get started?
Yes, we're good to go, Champakalata. Thank you.
You all seen this? So there's people online also, and then hi everyone. Yeah, I can't get over how pretty you look in that star, Gaza. Yeah, they got some donations, Gopal, from the ashram. Yeah, and you have to look through too. And you too. Okay, so good morning, everyone. So we'll start. Can you show them on the phones the Jaya Radha Madhava? They have the link. They just have to click on Jai Radha Madhava. This first song that we'll sing is a beautiful song about Vrindavan, actually. So we meditate on Vrindavan before we begin. And by the way, the reason I'm sitting up here is to honor the Srimad Bhagavatam, actually. So it has nothing to do about like elevating the speaker, but to actually honor the Bhagavatam and actually honor the class. So we'll start with Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jannavala Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jannavala Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vandacha Ramana Kila Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Savihari Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Now we're going to chant. I'll chant Om Namo. We'll chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'll chant and then you all repeat. And just like this seat is to honor Vyasadeva and to honor the Guru. When we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, we're seeking the blessings actually to approach the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And now, because I'm going to explain and go through the Sanskrit verses as we go along, I'm going to go ahead and now chant some prayers to our teachers and to Radha and Krishna to receive their blessings, to be able to approach Srimad Bhagavatam and share Srimad Bhagavatam. If you know the words, you can join. If not, you can just absorb the sound vibration. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jananjana Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Gadam Maya Dadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yura Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sure Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachare Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all so much for being here at Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. It's amazing, Jai, which means victory. So exciting. So we are reading, as there's many different cantos in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are reading. If people want to pull it up on their phones, you can show them how to do that. Even if you just Google SB 10 dot 44 dot 14. We're going to be reading verses 14 to 16. Just to give you a little bit of backstory, we're in the 10th canto right now. The first 9 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they describe who is the absolute truth. What is the spiritual world? What is the material creation? Who is God? All of that. The 10th canto is very, very special because the 10th canto describes who is Krishna and what are Krishna's pastimes, and actually tells the whole story of Krishna's appearance in this world and all of his childhood pastimes in Vrindavan and all of his pastimes the whole time he's on the earth planet. And we're currently in the last few chapters, he actually left Vrindavan, which is his home where he grew up, and actually came to Mathura. And the reason that he came to Mathura is because this very evil king, Kamsa, he who was basically tried to kill his parents before he was born, then killed all of his siblings as soon as they were born, and has basically been trying to kill Krishna and all of Krishna's family and friends in Vrindavan the whole time Krishna's been alive. More on that later. But basically just been trying to kill everybody this whole time. So he has invited Krishna and Balaram, his brother Balaram, to come to Mathura to do this wrestling match. Why? With the idea that these very strong wrestlers will kill Krishna and Balaram, because this is his mission. So we're currently in this chapter of 44 in the wrestling arena. So if you've seen the movie Gladiator, you can envision an epic wrestling arena in your mind. It's one of my favorite movies. But like even more epic than that. Okay. And what is happening in these verses today is there's all of the residents of Mathura, they're all assembled to see this wrestling match. And the women who are present, they see, actually, this is super unfair. They're young boys. They're super young, innocent boys at this time, Krishna and Balaram. What is their exact age at this time? 7, right? Or 11? Do you? He was 11, yeah. Huh? He looked like he was 16, but he was actually 11 years old. So that's very young. And these wrestlers that he's about to wrestle are like big, grown, strong, huge men. So the women present are like, oh my gosh, this is an unfair fight. This is between the strong and the weak. And because they have compassion, they feel anxiety, like this isn't right. So these women, they actually assemble in groups around the arena and they begin speaking to each other. And they're saying like, this is irreligious, that the king has arranged this fight between the strong and the weak. How is this possible? Religious principles are being, are being violated, basically. And then what happens is they begin to look at Krishna. And what happens when the conditioned soul looks at Krishna, like we'll at 8 o'clock look at the deities when they open. When we see Krishna, they say, oh, wow, just look at Krishna's beautiful lotus, which is, lotus flowers are so beautiful. So Krishna's face is compared to a lotus flower. Wow, look at Krishna's beautiful lotus face. And don't you see the face of Lord Balaram? And they begin to actually glorify Vrindavan, which is the land where Krishna grew up and where Krishna is coming from. And they're saying how pious actually is Vrindavan, because there, the personality of Godhead, last night in our class, we were talking about Bhagavan, right? This personality and how Krishna is actually the original Godhead. And this is him in his original form. And how wonderful is it that this God, disguising himself with human traits, even though we understand he is a person, but he's not a mortal human being. Like we have a material body and our soul is different than our material body, but Krishna's body and soul are the same. His body and soul are both spiritual. So isn't it amazing that he wanders about in this land of Vrindavan enacting his pastimes? He's adorned with wonderfully variegated forest garlands. So just like the deities are given garlands every day, and then you can give this garland to one of them. Gosh, you have to like give it to all of them. Everybody needs a garland. How can you choose? Maybe just Haribo. You can pass it around. Everybody can wear it. So just like the deities wear garlands here, Krishna, he wears garlands in Vrindavan. And he's playing his flute and tending the cows because he's a cowherd boy. So they start to talk like this. And that actually brings us to today's verse, which is text 14, which you can look on if you would like to read along with me. I'll chant the Sanskrit and then read the translation and purport, and we'll discuss each verse kind of as we go along. So Gopyastapa kimacharanya ramasya rupam lavanya saramasamorvamananya siddham drigbi pibantya nushabha vinavam durapam ekantatam yashasha shriya aishvarasya. What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes, they always drink the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness and is not to be equaled or surpassed. That form is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. Purport. The word meanings and translation for this verse are from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, as they were just glorifying the residents of Vrindavan, which are the highest devotees of Krishna and have the most intimate relationships with Krishna, it's his friends, it's his family members, his parents, and the gopis are also residents of Vrindavan. And it's considered, if you look at that picture there, you can see Radha and Krishna, and then those girls surrounding him. Those are gopis. They're cowherd girls, and they're actually the highest devotees of Krishna. Why is this? Because they have the most intense love for Krishna. And these ladies are saying that these gopis must have performed austerities, right? Must have done intense spiritual practice, because they are able to have the association of Krishna. They actually they spend so much time with Krishna, and at night they actually, under the stars, they dance with Krishna and Radha. So Radha and Krishna dance in the circle, and and Krishna also multiplies himself, like we've discussed in group before, how he can expand himself. And so he actually multiplies himself so that he dances with each and every gopi to reciprocate with their love. Isn't that so beautiful? Because he wants to make every single person feel like Krishna's dancing with me. And so these gopis, with their eyes, they're always drinking the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which Krishna's form is the essence of loveliness and is not to be equaled or surpassed. So everyone is looking for beauty in this world, right? Everyone is looking for something beautiful to look at, some beautiful experience. But all of the beauty that exists within this world is said in our scriptures to be, it all comes from Krishna. Like we were talking about last night, that people that we love are created by Krishna. Similarly, the whole material creation is made by Krishna. And so when we see a beautiful rainforest or sunset or waterfall or beach or any beautiful things that we like to see, it's beautiful because it comes from Krishna, and it's a drop of Krishna's beauty. So imagine how beautiful Krishna must be, right? He's infinitely more times beautiful. And when we see him, we are overwhelmed actually by his incredible beauty. And that's also how we make advancement in bhakti and Krishna consciousness, is by being attracted to Krishna. And then it's said that what they're doing right now is they're dressing the deities, right? It's said that when you become absorbed in dressing the deities, when you become absorbed in Krishna's form, you actually forget all about like needing to dress your own form. Like, especially, I don't know if the other girls can relate, and maybe the guys can relate too, I don't know, but girls, like, we really love like dressing ourselves really nicely, and it's like super fun and all of those things, and that's nothing wrong with that. But when you dress the deities and you see Krishna's form, you actually, like, your need for that just like goes away, because you're so satisfied that Krishna is so beautiful that you don't have the need to be beautiful yourself. It doesn't mean that we don't wear beautiful pink saris, because we dress beautifully for Krishna and we look beautiful for Krishna, but that anxiety isn't there for ourselves. It's this beautiful offering for Krishna, and it becomes spiritualized, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that form of Krishna is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. So all fame in this world, all opulence in this world, all good qualities in this world, they come from Krishna. So when we see someone who has fame or opulence or wealth or strength, we can, or renunciation even, we can say, wow, Krishna has given them that. And we can appreciate instead of feeling envious, like, I want that too, or being in this competitive spirit, we can actually just have gratitude that, like, wow, Krishna's given them a super amazing gift. So I can appreciate them and glorify Krishna, that these amazing qualities actually come from Krishna. And then that helps us to get rid of envy in our heart, which isn't a good feeling and isn't favorable for our bhakti. So, this is what happens when we looked at Krishna. And Krishna, he's ever fresh, actually. So we never get bored by looking at him. Sometimes people think, well, gosh, like, am I going to get bored in the spiritual world, just like, serving Krishna? But it's every day is a festival, and every day becomes ever more fresh. Like, sometimes in this material world, we feel like, oh, this relationship is getting a little stale, I need to mix it up. But with our relationship with Krishna, the relationship never gets stale. It's always getting more and more exciting. It's always competition of wow, like, it's actually said in the spiritual world that Krishna becomes more beautiful, and then the gopis become more beautiful to please Krishna, and then Krishna becomes more beautiful to please the gopis. And like this, it's like an ever-increasing beauty and ever-increasing festival, and this ever-increasing competition of, like, well, I'm going to serve you more, and then they're like, Krishna, we're going to serve you more, and then Krishna's like, I'm going to serve you more. So there's this like constant like back and forth. So in the next verse, the ladies continue to say, Yado hane vahanane matano palepa Brenkan kanara barudoto shana marjana Gayanti china manurakta diyo shukantyo Tanya vrajastriya rukurma chitayana. The ladies of Vraja, Vrindavan, are the most fortunate of women, because with their minds fully attached to Krishna, and their throats always choked up with tears, they constantly sing about him while milking the cows, winnowing grain, churning butter, gathering cow dung for fuel, riding on swings, taking care of their crying babies, sprinkling the ground with water, cleaning their houses, and so on. By their exalted Krishna consciousness, they automatically acquire all desirable things. So there's 3 points that stick out to me from this verse. The first point is that we've discussed this in group also, how, we don't have to go to a cave and meditate all day. How are these gopis meditating? They're going about their day. They're cowherd girls. So, they're not going to the office or to the hospital or to their different jobs. What their occupation is milking the cows and winnowing grain and churning butter and gathering cow dung for fuel and taking care of their crying babies and cleaning their houses and so on. So all of us have our different duties that we perform during the day, but what are they doing while they're doing their duties? They're, yeah, she's got to perform her duties right now. She's on call. So they're while they're doing their duties, their minds are fully attached to Krishna. Their throats are choked up with emotion due to their love for Krishna. And they're constantly singing about Krishna. They're constantly glorifying Krishna. So we, in our practice of bhakti, you guys are at this morning program today, right? So we have a morning sadhana, we have a morning spiritual practice, we have a morning meditation. That is to get our consciousness absorbed in Krishna, to give us that connection with Krishna, to go deep in our connection with Krishna, to get our fuel. And then as we go throughout the day, that continues. We can, while we're doing our work, we can be chanting out loud or chanting in our mind, Hare Krishna. We can be, as we begin to learn more about Krishna and read the Krishna book and learn about what he does, we can be thinking about him and what he does. We can be thinking about what we discussed in group. We can be meditating on these different things, and we can just be chanting Hare Krishna. And by bringing Krishna into our everyday life, that's how we attain perfection. And these gopis, they have attained perfection. They're the highest devotees. And so they're always experiencing actually symptoms of ecstasy. Their throats are always choking up with tears because of their deep love for Krishna. So I wanted to just share with you all briefly, we won't go so in depth into it, but that there's different stages of bhakti. We said it last night, but there's different stages of bhakti, and it's not that like the day that we start chanting, our throats are going to choke up and we're going to be crying like these gopis are crying all the time. It's a gradual process. And just like someone who has the disease of jaundice, Ayurvedically, the treatment for jaundice is sugar candy. But if you give sugar candy to a person who has jaundice, it actually tastes very bitter, and they don't want to take it, but they have to take it. And then as they continue to eat the candy, their disease is cured and they begin to taste the sweetness. So similarly, although our soul is perfect and pure, we're temporarily have a material covering. So we can't, as long as we have the material covering, we won't be able to taste the sweetness of Krishna's holy names and japa. So we might think, oh, this is a little bitter, I've had enough of this. But as we chant more, actually we're taking the medicine. And then as we take the medicine, our disease will be cured and we'll begin to taste the sweetness. And then it will become more and more and more and more sweet. And then we will begin to develop a taste for chanting the names. And then love will start to awaken on all of these things. And then in the perfection, we have that pure love of God. So it starts with Shraddha, which having faith in the spiritual process of chanting the holy names in the form of the Hare Krishna mantra. And then we do Sadhu Sangha, which is when we associate with devotees of the Lord through recorded lectures, books, or in person. And by associating with them, listening to their instructions for advancement in bhakti, and making friends with them, and like that, we get more faith. Faith increases through the process. Taste increases through the process. Then we do bhajana kriya, which is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and also eventually taking up the practices of following the 4 recommended lifestyles, the 4 regulative principles, and doing spiritual activities that are in favor of bhakti. Then anarta nivritti happens as we continue to chant. The unwanted things in our hearts, such as lust, greed, anger, pride, envy, anxiety, and false ego, are destroyed. These negative qualities are destroyed. And then we become nishta. We reach nishta, which is becoming fixed in devotion to the Lord. Even at that time, even if the mind or the thought goes at other places, the devotee immediately brings it back to the holy names and Krishna. So it's said that it's kind of like a hard work, kind of like going uphill until we get to the point of nishta, the process of anarta nivritti. It's actually said it can take only 3 days if we're very serious. But for most of us, it takes quite a bit longer than that. And once you get to nishta, from there, mercy really starts to flow from Krishna. And it's like a downhill process where things just start to happen. And we won't go so much into those, but it's ruchi, shakti, bhav, and then finally prem, which is pure love. And at that moment, the sadhaka, or the spiritual practitioner, fully realizes themselves as an eternal soul and their relationship with Krishna, and that they're the eternal servant of Radha and Krishna. And at that time, Krishna reveals himself to the devotee, and the devotee sees Krishna face to face. And is fully situated in their eternal relationship. So the gopis who are speaking, they're situated at that place. So the last line is also super beautiful, that by the gopis' exalted Krishna consciousness, they automatically acquire all desirable things. We often think like, I've got to like work really hard to acquire all that I need, but actually, by the practice of Krishna consciousness, all desirable things automatically come. It doesn't mean that one of the symptoms of surrender is having this faith that Krishna will protect me, Krishna will maintain me, and all of the happiness that I am searching for, all of the love that I'm searching for. If I just develop my relationship with Krishna, all of those things will come. I will be satisfied. I will be happy. I will acquire all desirable things, which is ultimately love for Krishna and spiritual happiness. But also all of our, whatever we need will be taken care of. Now, that doesn't mean that we just quit our job and say, oh, my bank account will just automatically be refilled. Like, we still have to be practical, and we still need to, do the needful in this material world. But we can have this faith, this trust that everything will come if I serve Krishna, because Krishna is the source of everything. So just like if you water the root of the tree, all of the trees and branches will be also watered. If we water the root of Krishna, then also everything else in our life and all the other people in our life will also be nourished and watered. Does that make sense? Yeah. So then the last verse, and then we'll open it up for questions and discussions, is verse 16. Prata rajar vajata avishatascha sayam gobi samam vanayato shanisham yavenum nirgam yaturnam abala patiburi panya punya pasyanti sasmitamukam sadayo valokam. When the gopis hear Krishna playing his flute as he leaves Vraja, Vrindavan in the morning with his cows, or returns with them at sunset. So Krishna, every morning, he gets bathed and dressed and everything, and then he leaves for the pasturing grounds to take care of the cows, and then he comes back at sunset. So these young girls, these young gopis who are also young, the same age, quickly come out of their houses to see him. They're so excited. They've been meditating on him all day. And then when they see him, they're so excited to see him that they run to him in ecstatic love. They must have performed many pious activities to be able to see him as he walks on the road, his smiling face mercifully glancing upon them. So Krishna, he's able to reciprocate with everybody. He glances at everybody. He makes everybody feel loved. Similarly, when he takes lunch with the cowherd boys, which I don't believe we have a picture here of that, the cowherd boys are all surrounding him in a circle, and each cowherd boy is feeling like Krishna's looking just at me. How does he do that? Because he can reciprocate with everybody. There's no lack. Sometimes people think like, oh, there's lack in this world, so like, if I don't make sure I get it, then somebody else is going to get it. But we never have to be in that mentality of lack. We can be in that mentality of abundance, knowing that Krishna is the source of all abundance, and he can reciprocate with each and every one of us perfectly. And that's the perfection of life. So thank you so much for listening. We have, I hope everything made sense. We have 10 minutes left. So today we're just going to open it up to in person first, to ask the people who are here in person if they have questions, and then we can go to the online audience. So so that the people online can hear, if anybody wants to share a reflection or ask a question, you can just come up here and speak so they can all hear you too. Anybody want to reflect anything? Yeah, come. This is Boyan.
Hello. The question I was going to ask is what Champak just talked about, lack of resource and how we can think in terms of abundance. But I want to ask, how can we perceive competition when we do our best, but at the same time, whether it's performing our duty or our job, you do have to kind of compete with other human beings.
Yeah.
But then it's like you want to succeed, but you also don't want to say fail because you don't want to compete. So how do you, I guess, think in terms of that?
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks.
That's such a beautiful question. So here in the material world, we can have this competitive mentality of like, yeah, we need to compete because there's lack, and like I want to do better than other people and I want to be the best, and it can be like an ego thing. Like I want to succeed because I want people to recognize me. I want some fame or recognition or like this. Like I want to be at the top of the ladder. But actually everything that exists in this material world, it can be sometimes a perverted reflection of the true essence that exists in the spiritual world. So there actually does exist competition in the spiritual world, but it's healthy competition. It's not a negative thing. It's this like super fun competition of like, wow, that devotee is serving Krishna so beautifully. They just made a beautiful flower garland for Krishna. That is so inspiring. I want to make an even more beautiful flower garland for Krishna because that will make Krishna happy. And so then that devotee makes a beautiful flower garland and offers it to Krishna to make Krishna happy. And then another gopi or devotee says, wow, that is even more beautiful. That's fantastic. And they're not like envious. They're like praising that devotee. Like, wow, they're doing such an amazing job. That's so inspiring. Let me do an even more amazing job. But it's not about them. It's about they want Krishna to receive the best. So they're all encouraging each other, appreciating each other, and inspiring each other to be the best that they can be and to offer the best service that they can to Krishna. So we can practice that here in this material world by yes, like there's nothing wrong with wanting to succeed, but why do we want to succeed? We want to succeed to do the very best that we can do for Krishna. You know, whatever it is, like, oh, I want a promotion in my job so I can make more money, so I can give more, you know, to causes like the Bhakti Center, you know, so that I can invite people over to my home and talk about Krishna and feed them nice prasadam that's been offered to Krishna. You know, I want to do a good job in my workplace so that people see me as a responsible person and they see me as a happy person. So they ask me and I can share with them, you know, about like my spiritual life. And I want to do the best so that I can please Krishna and make Krishna happy. So the ego is, I want to do better for me and my recognition, and I'm going to be upset if I don't do better, and doesn't matter how it affects other people because it's about my success. So I can step over people to get what I want. That's ego. But positive would be, I want to support other people. I want to see other people thrive. I want to see other people succeed, right? And then I want to do my best for Krishna. And then I'm going to do my best, but whatever the results are, whether I succeed or whether I fail, I'm still going to be happy either way because I know I've done my best. And Krishna doesn't ultimately accept the results. He accepts the intention. So no matter whether we succeed or fail, if our intention was to serve him and please him, it's perfect. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Does anybody else have any reflections or comments or questions? Adi. This is Adi Purushvaguru. He's also a disciple, student of Prabhupada, who leads a beautiful food distribution program for the homeless and a guest house service. It's like a whole beautiful, like hostel, hotel, guest services, interfaith. So people of all different faiths come and stay with him, and he shares with them bhakti.
It's a perfect question. And Mataji already explained very nicely that people do things with a different motivation. Sometimes there's a selfish motivation, pride, envy, material competition, but we can also do things out of love. The material world is a place where people are competing with each other, but the quality of competition in the genuine dimension where we're from is the quality of competition is there without inebriety. Srila Prabhupada tells us, without the inebriety of pride and selfishness. So there's the motivation is love for Krishna, and then Rupa Goswami explains that if we reawaken our love for the Lord, our genuine affection for everyone else is simultaneously awakened, because in this world people compete with each other, but in the spiritual world there's harmony, and there's affection, and there's respect, and there's it's a different atmosphere. Anyway, very nice question, perfect answer. We're just reflecting, just elaborating on that. Doing something instead of out of pride and selfishness, doing something for the benefit of others and for the pleasure of the Lord. It's automatic. Okay, Hare Krishna, glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you. Anybody online?
Yeah, we see Bhima Prabhu's hand up.
Yes, Bhima Prabhu.
Who are you competing with, Bhima Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class. Hare Krishna. As someone myself who, for the first 10 years that I was in the movement, were in competition. We, at the time, there was always scores, and we competed mightily. And it was great fun. And because of the competition, we were very enthusiastic. And because of the enthusiasm that we had, we felt reciprocation from Krishna. But there's a fine line. There's a very fine line. That if we're engaged in the business world and we justify our endeavor for more pay, which always requires, if you're working for someone, or even if you're working for yourself, as I did many years after, that you will neglect, you will find yourself, Maya will come in and she'll convince you that instead of spending some introspective, silent, can I be heard, by the way, or am I being broken up? I'm in a barn.
Yeah, you can be heard.
Okay. Maya will, the idea of if I do, ahankara, if I do more work, if I strive harder, if I do this and I do that, that somehow I will take the extra money in my bank account and use it to serve Krishna. If I get a better car, I can pick up my guru in a BMW rather than a Hyundai. If I buy a big house, I can have lots of and I'll tell you from personal experience that is a very dangerous proposition, because what happens is you become so caught up in the I am doing and you become so caught up in the results, the fruitive results of what you're doing, that Maya has already got 3 hooks in, and that you can find that all of a sudden you're thinking less about Krishna and more about the making or the doing. I think that we should never forget that we should, as I believe it was Rupa Goswami or maybe Jiva, who had a sadhana program that was like the lines in stone, that when you see the markings in stone.
Sorry, Bhima Prabhu, the conch is
So
blowing.
long story short, I just wanted, I just wanted to finish by saying that we always need to put Krishna first, always the priority, and then we can think about what we're going to do.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
thank you so much. Very, very nice point. So, sing a song to glorify him.
Okay, it's darshan time. Turn on your cameras, everybody, if you can. Stop your car, stop your bike, stop your Hyundai or whatever you're driving. Amita Kishori Didi, good to see you. Side glance from Vasudev Prabhu, please. Hare Krishna. Okay. All right, this was the class, dear devotees. Thank you very much. Shisharada Mulidhar ki jai, Shakur Chandra ki jai. We have to compete in the material world because there's shortage of stuff. There's limited resources. Materialistic means scarcity, shortage. But in the spiritual world, there's no shortage of devotional service, and we don't have to compete. We can have fun. We're having fun. Vasudev is on the altar serving the deities. What am I doing for the movement? Where am I? That's the competition. That's the mood. Friendship is free. Love is free. Morning class is free. There's nothing to compete over. Damodar Priya's smile is free, but let's not take it for granted. Let's not take it for granted, dear devotees. It's all free stuff, but let's treasure it and appreciate it. It's a gift from Prabhupada. Let's take advantage of it. Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.